Salam sejahtera, salam kasih, salam IPGKTHO kelas pertama 2025. A very good morning to everyone. Welcome to Poetry Workshop organized by English Language Department IPG Campus Tun Usin On. Without further ado, let's welcome Puan Balkis binti Abdul Aziz, Head of English Language Department, to give the opening speech.
Thank you, Madam Sumati. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning. Salam kasih. Salam IPGK THO kelas pertama 2025. Well, yang berusaha Dr. Masita Muhammad Yusof, Director of IPGK Tun Hussein On, Encik Muhammad Razi bin Muhammad Suradi, Deputy Director of IPGK Tun Hussein On, and all the participants. Welcome to the Poetry Workshop organized by English Language Department IPG Campus Tun Hussein On. It gives me an immense pleasure to start this workshop by heartful welcoming each and everyone here to the Poetry Workshop. A special thanks to the speaker for today, Dr. E.B. Chu, for her hard work and effort in making this workshop a successful and meaningful. Ladies and gentlemen, Poetry Workshop gets everyone to understand elements of poetry, including a poem's meanings, choices, techniques, and experiences. Through this workshop also enable us to analyze poems, consider techniques poet use, and write own poem once you feel comfortable doing so. Why just write poems when you can write better one? This workshop been planned on the notion that the most exciting writing begins after the first draft. It is specifically for folks who believe that writing poems just to express oneself is like using the internet just for email. After all, poetry can change the way and your readers think of the world and its inhabitants, which can break new ground for language that is turned a blank sheet of paper into a teeming concert of voices and musics. The workshop is a one-day introduction to and a refresher in the nature and techniques of poetry. It is suitable for beginning poets as well as writers who have written some poems but are looking for guidance in craft and technique. It will work for those interested in knowing how poems work and how we might make the most of reading them even if you have no particular aspiration to write poems. Ladies and gentlemen, a poem is a sculpture of voice. It's what a poet's heart says to the mind and the voice finds a body for. A poem is a small pot that carries mystery in the world. How well it works its magic depends on how sound you make the vessel. Poetry is not just a genre, then it is a practice of mindful living. It is hoped that after attending this poetry workshop, you are able to discover what goes on inside a poem, how to make your sing, and how to see you and write your life more fully to the facts and mysteries of existence. Unpack some fine poems that may show you how to write your own with more grace and in new ways, but originally. You will find that you have the chance to write a poem and expect a journey through big ideas and technical tips that will keep you engaged with your own creativity of writing. Throughout the workshop, you can expect to write fragments and several completed poems that are ready to submit for publication. Ladies and gentlemen, for your information, selected poems will be published in the book Voices of Ipto Volume 1 and 2. Last but not least, good luck to everyone and enjoy the workshop. With that, I thank you.
Thank you, Puan Balkis binti Abdul Aziz, for the welcoming speech. Now, I would like to welcome Dr. E.B. Chu to conduct her workshop. Before we begin, let me give a short introduction about Dr. Yi. Dr. E.B. Chu is a lecturer at the Institute of Teacher Education, Tun Usin On campus, Batu Pahat, Johor, Malaysia, with more than 25 years of teaching experiences in English language for primary and secondary school students, as well as for pre-service teachers. E obtained a doctorate degree in teaching English as a second language from University Technology Malaysia. She is actively involved as a teacher trainer in conducting continuous professional development CPD courses such as CEFR and Pro ELT in Pro ELT Enhanced for in-service teachers. She is also active in writing books such as literature components and Form 5 English books for secondary schools. Besides that, she is a chief editor for the book Voices of Ipto, a collection of poems written by the lecturers, school teachers, and pre-service teachers. As a scholar, she has written and published more than 20 research articles in Scopus and peer-reviewed journals. Her research areas include English language teaching and learning, teaching, teacher education, literature, and action research. Her current research projects are digital storytelling and literature. Let's welcome Dr. E.B. Chu.
Thank you to our moderator, Madam Sumati, for making such a good introduction about me. Good morning to everyone. Salam sejahtera, salam kasih, salam itu kelas pertama 2025. This is our way of greetings during the speech. And I would like to take this opportunity to greet our esteemed director, Dr. Masita binti Muhammad Yusuf, our esteemed Deputy Director, Mr. Muhammad Razi bin Muhammad Suradi, our respected Head of English Language Department, Madam Balkis binti Abdul Aziz, all my beloved students who are currently taking the program of PPISMP, PISMP, and PDPP, as well as all my dear participants and all the viewers who are sitting in front of the screen to join with me this webinar talk in this beautiful morning. It gives me great pleasure to speak to you this morning on this topic of poetry workshop. Initially, we wanted to carry out this poetry workshop in our institute in a face-to-face mode, because we hope that at the end of the workshop, all the participants will be able to produce a poem and submit to us so that we can compile all these poems and publish them in our book. But since the pandemic is still going on, so we couldn't do it in a face-to-face mode. So we are carrying out this online form. So I hope that all the audience and all the viewers could follow along with my talk and gain some information, so that at the end of this talk, we hope to receive your poems. I would like to first, please allow me to share my screen. Okay, so this is the poetry workshop that we are conducting for today. As you can see in the poster at the end, we hope that we can get a lot of poems so that we can publish them in two books, which is Voices of Ito, Volume 1, and Voices of Ito, Volume 2. Last year, we did carry out the poetry workshop and it was successful. Okay, next, can I go to the next slide, please? Thank you. Okay, last year we carried out this poetry workshop and it was successful because we did produce a book at the end of the workshop, and the book was actually widely circulated to the participants, to the school teachers, and also to the teacher trainees in our college, and also to some lecturers who contributed their poems. And this poetry workshop, when we publish the poems, we find that there are many people who are very creative and talented, and they did show us they have the ability to write. So in the book, next slide please. In this book, we collected the poems, and we find that all the teachers, school teachers, and also our teacher trainee, they really wrote very well poems. And later I will put the link, the ebook link, in the description of this YouTube, so that you can access this ebook also. Okay, I'll put that later after my talk. Okay, so let's see what are the objectives of this workshop. Okay, first the participants will be able to understand the different types of poem and understand the literary devices in a poem. And the most important part is to write a poem. That is what the purpose of this workshop for. And share it and publish it in our book, Voices of Ito. And here I would like to take this opportunity to appreciate the poems written by others. In my PowerPoint today, I will actually select some good poems which have been written by the school teachers and also our teacher trainee who wrote good poems. So I would like to take this opportunity to share their poems so that we can actually appreciate how these poems are actually very good for us. Next slide. So what is poetry? Let us see. Poetry in ancient Greek word means I create. It is an art form in which human language is used for its aesthetic qualities. Poetry is a type of literature that conveys a thought, describes a scene, or tells a story in a concentrated lyrical arrangement of words. So that is why poetry is different from the prose, which is when we write story, we write in paragraphs. But in poetry, we write in a lyrical way or poetic way. So that makes it a different writing than the other writing, or which is like academic writing or the narrative writing. That's why poetry is different. Okay, next slide. And why do we write poetry? First, to express our emotion and feelings. We know that sometimes we are happy, sometimes we are sad. There are some people who can just express themselves easily through their facial expression, but some people, they do not easily show it in their face, or what they can do is to write through the poems. In that, they express their feeling when they feel about something. And we can share our experience in life. Sometimes when during the happy moments, we want to record our happy moments, and it will be good we write it down, because when we don't write down, we will forget whatever that had happened. But if we write the good moments or the happy moments that we had when we write down, and later when we read back the poems, we will feel very happy, and it can make us remember something that we have missed out. Okay, and the third is to deepen our understanding of language. To deepen our understanding of language, we know that there are many languages in this world, and today we are actually learning to write poetry in English. And even in English itself, we know that it has undergone a few the evolution, because we know that the old English, then to Middle English, and then now we are in the modern English. So there is some changes of the language, and sometimes it would be good we go back to see how Shakespeare wrote the poems in his time, learn his language. And we can, even though we are in the modern world, we still can write using the old way of a language. So it would be a good way for us to have a better understanding when we write poetry. Okay, and of course, number 4, to develop our language skills. We know that we have the 4 main language skills for English is listening, speaking, reading, and writing. Before we start writing, of course, we need to read. Okay, we read articles, we read other people's poems, and we also listen, okay, to some poems, and we can speak it out and share it with others. So that is how this poetry can help us to develop our language skills. And play with poetic forms. Poetry is, as we said that earlier, that it is a lyrical arrangement of words. So we can write it in poetic forms, or we can write it in a figurative way. So it is something like a fun way for us to play with language. So that is another reason why we need to write poetry. And the last is to serve as bibliotherapy. Biblio means the use of literature, the use of literature for therapy. There are some hospital that they ask when they want to heal a patient, they give the treatment to the patient. They ask the patient to read books. They actually ask them to read books because books can actually expose these patients to another world. When we read books, I'm sure that all of us, when we read something, we can feel as the characters and we can feel the language. So that is why in some hospital they actually use bibliotherapy, which is the use of literature for a therapy. Okay, next slide. So about the structure of poem. A poem is made up of lines and stanzas. It's not like a paragraph in an essay that is made up of paragraphs, but it makes up of lines and stanza. And the paragraph, we call it stanza. Okay, usually in a poem, it uses rhyme. Rhyme is the repetition of similar sounds in different words, and it can occur with the lines that is the internal rhyme or the end rhyme, which is at the end. Here I have this example of this poem, Hope is the Thing with Feathers by Emily Dickinson. So in this poem, there are three stanzas. Okay, we can see that there are three paragraphs, but actually we call it stanzas, three stanzas. And we can see the rhyme scheme at the end of each line. Okay, we have feathers, so, words, or. Okay, so the words at the end is actually the rhyme scheme. And we know that this Emily Dickinson, she also wrote many good poems, which is very good for us. Recently, I just taught this poem to our students for the new course. So I find that actually there is something we can gain from the poem, just like this poem. It makes hope something, no matter how hard the hardship or how what kind of problems we are facing, as long as we have hope, we are able to endure. So these poems actually can give us encouragement and give us the strength to go on our life. Okay, next slide. Rhyme scheme. Okay, so as I said, there are some rhyme scheme that is called internal, but some end rhyme. So in this example here, I have the end rhyme, okay, which is me, poetry, best, and test. So the rhyme scheme we call AABB. Okay, because of the sound. So in writing poems, sometimes we need to use rhyme scheme because to make it poetry is for not just to write, but also for recitation. So when we read aloud the poems, if we use good rhymes, the word ends with rhyme, then it will make the reading very nice and also very beautiful to be heard. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so the types of poems that we have today that I'm going to share, we have the structure one and the free form. Okay, so what are the structures and what are the free form? Let's look at the next slide. In the structured poetry, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. Okay, here we have 7 structure poems: ballet, ode, sonnet, haiku, chincan, diamante, and rimeric. Okay, these are the structure poems. In that, it must have a certain rhyme scheme, and also the number of syllables are counted. We need to follow the number of syllables, and also how many number of lines. So they are structured or they are fixed. So we need to follow the structure or the format in the poem. As for the free form, which is ABC poem, acrostic poem, shape poem, and free verse, they are free. Means that there is no fixed rhyme scheme, no specific number of lines or syllables. So the author or the writer can write as how they want it to be for the poems. So this here I have 11 poems. So at the end of this workshop, I hope that the participants can try to submit one of these type of poems to us so that you can share with the other people in the world. Okay, let's see what is the first poem, that is ballet. Okay, the first poem. Ballad are narrative poems that narrate a story in stanzas. Okay, it tells a story that is called ballad. And the traditional ballad stanza consists of 4 lines, rhyme ABCB, or sometimes ABAB. The key is that the second and fourth lines rhyme. The first and third lines have 4 stresses, while the second and fourth have 3. As a narrative poem, ballads often incorporate multiple characters into their stories, in which it includes dialogues. So sometimes in this ballad, you will see the author, they put the dialogues in it. And usually ballad will not use the first person in writing. They use the third person because it's a narrative, it's a story. So usually it use a third person in the writing. Okay, let's see an example of a ballet. So this is a poem that our school students, the Form 4, okay, Form 4 secondary school students are studying in the literature component in English, The Charge of the Light Brigade by Alfred Lord Tennyson. Okay, so in our local books, this poems is only in 3 stanza, but actually the original poems is written in 6 stanzas. Okay, so when you look at these poems, they are dialogues. Okay, they are dialogues like forward, forward the light brigade, charge for the guns. So there are dialogues in these poems because this is a ballet. So ballet is a story. It tells a story, and you can see that it use the third person point of view to write. Okay, it use he and they, not I. Okay, so because it's a narrative poem, so it's telling another person's story. So that is the meaning format of ballet. Okay, now let's look at another example. Okay, now we come to ode, and ode is a short lyric poems that praises an individual, an idea, or an event. In ancient Greece, odes were originally accompanied by music. In fact, the word ode comes from the Greek word aidion, which means to sing or to chant. It is often ceremonial and formal in tone, and the stanza forms vary. It can be rhymed or unrhymed. Okay, let's see the example. Okay, here we had this example by John Keats, Ode to a Nightingale. So he wrote, here I only put the first stanza because it's quite a long poem. So we see that is talking to something. Okay, the ode is a poem that we talk to something or someone. Okay, and it shows the poet's feelings and expression to someone or something. Okay, let's see other example. Okay, this here I have these 2 example. One written by a teacher from Taiping. She wrote an ode, okay, and then which told about how she had felt for our IPG as she was an ex-student of IPGKTHO. So she wrote this ode to memorize, okay, to remember how her experience in IPGKTHO had molded her into now she is a teacher. And also here I have another example by our students, an ode to the fetish. And you can see that it's very simple, but then the word used, the rhyme, you can see the rhyme scheme. When you cease, I'll be at ease. I shall bestow you a brief to congratulate your death. So we see the rhyme are there. So sometimes we cannot underestimate our students' ability. They can write better poems. Sometimes we don't know. Okay, that's why we need to give them the opportunity to write. Let's go to the third form of poems that we can write. Okay, now this is called sonnet. Okay, the word sonnet is derived from the Old Occitan phrase sonnet, meaning little song. Okay, and it has 14 lines, so we cannot simply change the lines, only 14 lines with a fixed rhyme scheme. And the sonnet use iambic pentameter, 5 sets of unstressed syllables followed by stressed syllables for a 10 syllable line. Okay, here I have this example. That time of year thou mayst in me behold. Okay, so that is the syllable, the sound. Okay, the sound of it. Okay, let's go to the example. This is also one very famous sonnet 18 by William Shakespeare. It was once a poem for our local textbook also. But now we are our local literature component books are in the third cycle. This was in the first cycle. Okay, this poem, but it is actually very good and it's easy to read also. Okay, let's go to the next one. Okay, here we have two examples of sonnets written by our students. Okay, serendipity. Okay, it is 14 lines, as we say, 14 lines is poem, and there are the rhyme scheme. Okay, as you can see, the rhyme scheme are there. So it follows the format of a sonnet. And when we read this poem, we can really see how the author, they put their feelings when they write these poems. Okay, so this is the written song by sonnet. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Haiku. Okay, haiku is a very simple poem, or it is actually originated from Japan. It composed of only 3 lines. Okay, 3 lines with 575 syllables. Okay, 575 syllables means we need to count the sound. Like here, I have this example where wet dusk. Okay, cloud full horizon, 5 syllable. Okay, where wet fire of sunset, 7 syllables. Nights friendly return, 5 syllables. So 575 syllables. Okay. Syllables means the sound, the number of the sounds. Okay, in a word. It's not word, sounds. Okay. So that is what it means by haiku. Okay. Let's see other example of haiku. Okay, the power of will. Okay, by our student also. So our student have made this haiku 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in 5 stanza. The haiku, okay, in 5 stanza, and we can see that it is a story, okay, about the power of will, the determination. Okay, in writing this haiku. Okay, now so this is one example. Now we go to the next form of poetry, next type of poem. Okay, this is called cinquain. Okay, cinquain. In French, it means 5. So this poem only has 5 lines. Just now haiku only 3 lines, and this cinquain we have 5 lines. The first line is 1 word. Now, second line 2 words. Line 3, 3 words. Line 4, 4 words, and line 5 go back to 1 word. So as you can see in this example of sun, okay, sun, bright, warm. Okay, the first 1 word, second 2 words, and then rising, setting, shining, lights up the whole life, breathtaking. Okay, so and then another poem, chance, hope, wish, yearning, hankering, longing, a twist of fate, unforeseen. So we can see that this cinquain is quite easy. Okay, so for those of you who think that it's difficult to write long poems, never mind, you just write short poems like haiku, cinquain. It's okay as long as you practice writing. Actually, what we want to encourage people is to practice writing poems in English, because it's one way you can sharpen your English language and also improve your English language skills. Okay, let's move on to the next type of poem. Okay, diamante. Okay, this is something new. Diamante. Okay, it's a French word for diamond. Okay, and it is an unrhymed 7 lines. So just now we have haiku 3 lines, cinquain 5 lines. So diamante 7 lines. So this poem has 7 lines. The beginning and ending lines are the shortest, while the lines in the middle are longer, giving diamante poems a diamond shape. So it will show you a shape of a diamond. Okay, let's see the example. Okay, line 1 is 1 word. Okay, as you can see here, monster, evil, spooky, howling, shrieking, wailing, ghosts, empires, goblins, witches, flying, staring, terrifying, creepy, crawly, creatures. Okay, so you see that line one word, there is a noun, then line two words, line three words, 4 words, then go back to 3 words, 2 words, and 1 word. Okay, so it's actually very easy. Okay, these type of poems are very easy for us to write. So don't worry that you cannot write good poems. Simple poems like this also is workable for everyone. Okay, now let's move on to the next type of poem. Okay, we call this rimeric. Okay, a rimeric is a humorous poem consisting of 5 lines. The first, second, and fifth lines must have 7 to 10 syllables while rhyming and having the same verbal rhythm. And the third and fourth lines should only have 5 to 7 syllables. They too must rhyme with each other and have the same rhythm. So here we have this example by Edward Lear's Rimerics. It's very funny. As you can see in the picture, there was an old man with a beard who said, "It's just as I feared. 2 owls and a hen, 4 larks and a wren have all built their nest in my beard." Okay, so the picture is also very exaggerating. So it's a kind of humorous poem. Okay, let's move on to the next type of poem. Okay, this poem also very easy, ABC poem. It has a series of lines that create a mood, picture, or feeling. Lines are made up of words and phrases. The first word of line 1 begins with an A, second word begins with B, and then C. As you can see in this example, COVID the stealer. Although I make it here, so A, as you can see on the left hand, A, B, C, D, E. So although I make it here, bouncing every circumstances for a spot, COVID-19 steals my time with new ones. Doomed to be like this, no one can answer that. Every day my sadness grow, fear to tell I lost myself to miserable. Okay, so that is called ABC. You can write A, B, C, D, E, or if you want, you can write from A to Z also can. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Here is a longer ABC poem from A until W. Okay, so it's up to you how you want to write as long as ABC poem. So you must start with A, B, C, D until whichever letter you want to stop. Okay, this is one long ABC poem with the title The Frozen Heart. Okay, next, acrostic poem. It is quite similar to ABC poem, but this poem is called a name poem. Uses a word for each subject. Then each line will use the letter from the subject word. For example, this revenge. Okay, this a poem of revenge, Revenge. So you can see that the letter begin with Revenge. Reggie, ended, barely, entangled, none, greetings, enchanted. So this is called acrostic poem. Okay, next. Shape poem. Okay, shape poem also very interesting. An interesting poem. It forms a picture. It forms a picture, and it is based on spacing of words. So it is up to the creativity of the writer how they want to organize the words. Okay, like this example here, home. Okay, this poem written by a student, home. Okay, so you can see that how she draw a house, write a poem in a house, and we can still see the window, the two windows, and also a door in this house. Okay, so it's very interesting. Okay, we have also another example of shape poems. Let's see another example. Another example, okay, here we have the time, okay, the poem of a time. Okay, we show the time of 9 o'clock, I think 9:10, okay, 9:10. And also another shape is ever so evil. Okay, it's a kind of animal. Okay, unidentified animal. We need to ask the author what animal is this. Okay, shape poem. Okay, it's very interesting. All right, now let's move on. Okay, this is the last poem, free verse. Okay, Free verse is modern poetry that has no rules about meter or rhyme. Okay, so there's no rule. Free verse is up to the author, how long they want to write, how short, and there's no rhyme scheme, no fixed number of lines. So it's very free, okay, very free up to the author how they want to construct their poems. So here we had this example by our student Colorful Us, who was our ex-student. Okay, so he wrote this poem Colorful Us to actually portray all his classmates comes from different parts of the world, but all are here to study in the same place. So they make up a beautiful memory in his life when he was a student here at our college. Okay, let's move on. Okay, here I also have other example. Unsaid, okay, a free verse, and also the bluebird talks, also a free verse. So it can be long, okay, it can be very long, and it can be short according to how the author wants to write it. And there is no fixed number of lines, okay. Sometimes stanza 1 may be longer than stanza 2, or stanza 1 2 is longer than stanza 1. Okay, so there is no fixed number of lines for the free verse poems. Okay, next. Okay, so we have learned all the types of poetry. Okay, there are 11 types of poetry we have learned. So to this, you might have in your mind what kind of poems that you want to write. Okay, and to write a poem, sometimes it will be good we use some literary devices or figurative language to make the poems more poetic, okay, or more literally. So today I will be sharing these 9 literary devices. There are actually a lot. If you search online, there are more than 50 literary devices that you can use for in writing a poem or writing a short story. But today I just share with you these 9 literary devices which are commonly used by the writers, and it is easy for us when we want to use this literary device. Okay, let's look at the first one, which is simile. Okay, a simile is a comparison of two things by using the word as or like. Example, she is as tall as a giraffe. He runs fast like lightning. Okay, so this is simile. And then next, metaphor, a comparison of two things for their similarities and shared traits. Example, Henry was a lion on the battlefield. This assignment was a breeze. So just now, simile, we must use the word as or like. Okay, Henry was as fierce as a lion. Henry was a lion. So when we do not use as or like, then it becomes a metaphor. Okay, so this simile and metaphor are used to compare two things. Okay, they are used to compare two things. Okay, the third is personification. The giving of human traits and characteristics to inanimate objects, phenomena, and animals. For example, opportunity is knocking at your door. The sun smiles at us. We know that the sun will not smile because it's an inanimate object. But then when we put the human traits in it, so this become a personification. Okay, next. Alliteration, the repetition of the same letter or sound at the beginning of words. Example, Peter picked a pair of pickled peppers. Okay, so you have the p sound here, which is the repetition of consonants. And the chilling cold almost chopped him apart. So here you have the ch sound, that is the consonants. And assonance is the repetition of vowel sounds. Okay, example, feet swept by sleeping geese, or row your boat. So it is the repetition of vowel sounds. Okay, the next is onomatopoeia, the sound words. Okay, the words follow the sound. For example, boom, clash, snap, quack, moo, or etc. There are actually other examples. So here I only put a few. Okay, next one, hyperbole. Hyperbole is an exaggeration. Example, I waited in the line for centuries. I have a million things to do. Okay, so we hyperbole, we try to make something become exaggerated. It's impossible for us to live for centuries. Yeah, here say I waited in the line for centuries. Okay, for so long, so it's impossible. So actually, it's just a hyperbole to exaggerate how much time we have spent just to wait for in the line. Okay, next one. Imagery. Okay, words and phrases appeals to the five senses: visual, auditory, gustatory, tactile, and olfactory, which create mental images. Okay, example: the tiny red ant climbed up the broken twig. So this is the imagery is the words that we use appeal to the five senses. So the first example here actually is the visual, is because it helps us to see the tiny red ant. Okay, so that is for the visual sense, the sense of visual. And the next one, the car squeak every time I hit a palm in the road. This is for the sound. Okay, squeak, the car squeaks, the sound. Hit a bump, also the sound. And then the third one bite of the sour lemon caused my lips to pucker. Okay, the sour lemon. So that is for gustatory, the taste. Okay, we taste it very sour. Okay, the sharp edge of the paper cut my finger and make it sting. This is for tactile, which is touch. And the last one, the sweet smell of freshly baked apple fill the air. This is for olfactory, which is smell. Okay, so when we write, we can also use different words to appeal to the five senses. Okay, last one is repetition, which is very easy. Most of us can do. We can repeat the words or phrases or sentences. For example, never, never, never quit. Okay, we repeat the words. A horse is a horse, of course, of course. We repeat the phrase. A mouse to go before I sleep, a mouse to go before I sleep. Here we repeat the sentences. So repetition is also very common that we can use in literary device. So I have shared with you the 11 types of poems. I have also shared with you the 9 types of literary devices. So now what we hope that you can do to write your own poems. Okay, and after you write your poems, you can share with us and can publish. Okay, we hope to publish your poems in our book that is Voices of Ito, Volume 1 and Volume 2. Okay, and what are the rules and for this submission, the poem submission? Here I would like to share with you all. All submissions must be unpublished original work. Okay, so make sure you did not copy from anywhere. It is your own original work. Before I publish the book, I will send the whole book for Turnitin report to check the similarity. Last year, our book Voices of Ito, I did send for Turnitin report, and the similarity is 3%. Okay, so it's not very high, so it's good. Usually if we are a scholar, when we write an article, we must make sure our article do not exceed 20% in the similarity for the Turnitin report. So for this poetry, we hope that all the authors, you can produce your own original work and not copy somewhere from any website and then submit to us. So it's not fair to the original writer, because the original writer had already published, and then now we just copy and then submit it to other books. So it's not fair and also not ethical also. Okay, so please avoid that. And next is each poem must not exceed 40 lines, okay, because we are going to publish your work. So we also want to give other people opportunities. If you write long poems for 2 or 3 pages, so other people, because we want to publish your work, we had to sacrifice other people who can't get their work to be published in the book also. So don't write too long poems. And the submission must be no more than 2 poems. So we allow you to submit 2, but not more than it. Okay, and if you submit 2 poems, please submit it in 2 different documents, because when we receive your poems, we will put it in different folders so that we can categorize. Okay, these poems are for haiku, these poems are for sinken, or for ABC poem, so that we can organize them, categorize them according to the types of poems. So if you are going to send us 2 poems of different types, so please do so in 2 different documents, Word documents. Please send in Word document. And poems can be written on any themes. Poems must be written in the English language. Sometimes you may want to add a little Malay language or other language, is okay. Okay, but you need to italic. Okay, please put it in italic, or maybe put in inverted comma there. Okay, if you are going to use an image in the poems, please make sure you have the rights to use it to avoid copyright infringement action. Last year, we had a few authors who sent their poems, and they put some pictures beside their poems, but the pictures are taken from the internet. Okay, it's from the Google images. So we had to take out the poem, the pictures, because it is not their own picture, unless you draw it yourself or is your own photo. Okay, then we will we will put it along with your poems. Okay, these are the rules for poem submission. Okay, the entry guidelines. Okay, all entries must be made online through email to voicesofito@gmail.com. So please send to this email, voicesofito@gmail.com. And all entries must be typed in Microsoft Word using font area size 12 and spacing 1.5, saved in document format in a single file. Okay, if it is one poem, if you have 2 poems, so you need to save it in 2 different documents. And please include your photo in the submission, because we will put the authors, we will have the page for writers. Okay, later at the end of this talk, you will watch a video where we post all the writers of the poems of our last year IPGKTHO of voices. So we like to have your photo. We'll put it in the book also. Okay, and all entries must reach the organizer by 20th March 2022, and no late entry will be accepted. So you are given about 20 days, okay, to submit your poems. I'm sure that some of you might have your own poems already ready, so you can just submit to us after this webinar. Okay. When you submit your poems, first please put your title, okay, of the poem, then your name, and then if you are a lecturer or you are a student or staff or teacher, please put your institute name or school name, and then put your contents of the poem. And at the end of the poem, please put the type of poems, because we are not sure which type of poems you want to send to us, because after we receive your poem, for example, like haiku is a 3-line poems. We have to count the syllables, 575 syllables. So we have to make sure you follow the rule. We cannot just simply publish your work without doing the editing. So we need to count the syllables and make sure that it is in the correct format. Then only we can publish the poem. Okay, so it is a tedious work actually, because these poems, they have different formats. So we would like you to let us know so that we can categorize these poems, put it in different folder, so that later when we check, we can check the format of the poem to see that whether do they fulfill the criteria of such poems like ballet or sonnet, haiku, chinken, diamante, limerick. For the other 4 types of poems, which are from of the free structure, like ABC poem, acrostic poem, shape poem, and free verse, because there is no fixed format. So they are easy, okay, actually easy for us to just, of course, we will also check your words also, okay, but it's easier compared to the 7 poems that had a fixed format for it, okay. Then next, Okay, these are the important dates. Okay, today we started with this poetry workshop, and we give the timeline until the deadline until 20th March, so that during this time we can collect the poems from the participants, and then after that we will start edit and format the poems. Okay, so we hope to get your poems by 20th March, so that we have the time to do the editing and also the formatting. And then we will apply ISBN number and EISBN number for the book. And we hope that by the end of April, we are able to publish this book, Voices of Ito, Volume 1 and Volume 2. Okay, the entry and consent form, we need you to also give us your consent form for publishing your work. Okay, so please, when you submit your poems, don't forget also to submit the consent form together to allow us to publish your work. So when you send your poems through the email voicesofito@gmail.com, you submit your poems. Then you submit also your photo and you submit this consent form. Okay, so three things. Make sure you have these three things to submit together to us. Your poems, okay, in document your poems, and then your photo. Okay, it can be any photo, passport size, or any photo that you want. Your most beautiful photo. Okay, because it will be published in the book. So your most beautiful photo, the one with the your best, the one you look the best. Okay, and the third one is this consent form. Okay, so please send these three things when you submit your poem through the email voicesofito@gmail.com. Okay, that's all from me. I would like to take this opportunity to also thank our director, okay, Dr. Masita binti Muhammad Yusof, for giving me the opportunity to do live stream for this poetry workshop, so that I can share this knowledge about poetry with all of you today. I also like to take this opportunity to thank my head of English language department, Madam Paukis, for her continuous support for everything I do. I really feel very grateful. I had such a good head of English language department, and she's going to retire. So I'll miss her, but I will hope that through this webinar, she said that it's her last time to do something for me. So I'm really grateful for what she has done for me. And also I would like to take this opportunity to thank my student editors who had helped me in editing the book last year. I had 10 editors from our PISMP Tesla group who helped me in editing and formatting the poems book, the poems in the book Voices of Ito in 2021. So I would like to thank them. I can't remember their names. Sorry, I can't read out their names. But I really want to take this opportunity to thank all of you who have helped me directly and indirectly. Okay, so that's all from me. Now I'm back to our moderator, Madam Sumati.
Okay, thank you, Dr. E, for the insightful session. Okay, let's look at some of the questions. Viewers, if you have any questions that you would like to ask Dr. E. Bichu, please post your questions in the comments, comments box. All right. Okay, the question that I found, the only one I've noticed just now from Haliza Pudin, how to help students polish their talents of writing poems. Dr. E?
Okay, Matt. Help me to call him. Tell him. Sorry, I didn't catch your question.
Okay.
Can you please
There's
repeat
a
the question?
question.
I don't
Yeah,
speak.
yeah. Yeah, sure. From the question is from Haliza Pudin. How to help students polish their talent of writing poem? Dr. Yi?
Sorry, that's the whole sentence. Uh,
How to help students polish
what
their
question
talent?
is that?
How to help the students to polish their talent
How to help
in writing poem?
students
Yeah, to polish.
or how to help students to polish their
Hmm.
writing and poems. Okay. Okay. So if the students they are young students, okay, let's say they are primary school students, we can't expect them to write very long poems. So as the webinar today, I have exposed you to haiku, only lines. Haiku is 3 lines, so it's a very easy poems. We can tell the student haiku is only 3 lines, make up of 5, 7, 5 syllables. So we can teach the student, give them one example to write an example of poem haiku, and then we can ask them to write because haiku is very easy to write.
I think there's some technical problem from Dr. Yi side. Meanwhile, if you have any questions to be asked, please post in the chat box.
Delete my question. Put me up first. Ini. I can't see myself. Hello, can you all hear me?
Hello, Dr. Yi. Hello, Dr. Yi. Okay, viewers, if you have any questions, please highlight your questions in the comment box. Yeah.
Okay, sorry, some technical problem. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Suddenly, the line is not doing well. So just now I was talking about, I think haiku. Sorry, yeah, haiku.
Mm.
So teachers can teach the simplest poem, that is haiku, with their student. And then later, when they start to have more vocabulary, then teach them other poems like Sinken or Diamante, other poems to expose them in the more higher level of poems. Okay. I hope that I have answered the question from teacher. Okay.
Yeah, I think. Is there any other questions? We from Twin Turbo, we need the competition link.
The competition, this is not a competition actually. Okay. I think just now when I in my last PowerPoint, I give the link, the QR code. The last PowerPoint I have
Mm.
already given the QR code, which will leads you to the rules and regulation for the poem submission, and also how to do it. So If you can't, you didn't scan it just now, never mind. You keep this YouTube link with you. Keep this YouTube link, and then you can reverse back the YouTube and look at my last slide. Okay, my last slide of the PowerPoint. Yes, my last slide of this PowerPoint actually show you the entry and consent form. The link are there for you to submit the forms. The link of the email address is there, and also the consent form. So if you can't get it now, you keep this YouTube link and you can go backwards. Okay, go backwards and go to this last slide. Then you'll be able to get this entry and consent form. Okay.
All right. Another question from Hafifa Mazlina. How to detect plagiarism in pupils' work?
How to detect plagiarism in pupils' work.
Mm.
Okay, I think if this is just young students, we don't want to penalize them. They are primary school student. Why we want to penalize them for copying other people's work? Because they are still young. They are started to learn, and their vocabulary are not strong, not wide enough. So we want them to write as many English words as possible. So for me, I feel that it's okay. We allow them to like copy, but then we must teach them how to use their own words. Maybe change the word, use synonyms or use antonyms or change the words. Instead of copy the whole thing, we ask them to change the word because they are still young. Their vocabulary is not strong. If they are secondary school students, okay, we need to ask them to because they have more, they master more vocabulary, they can write better. But we know that there are some school, the students are still very poor in English language. So we also don't want to penalize them, and they are not go. They are not like university students who have to write research paper. They need to send for turn it in report. It's not necessary for us to do this for them. So it's okay actually because we want to encourage our students to write. So we don't penalize them. Okay, don't penalize them for copying, but we must teach them to use other words. So that, most important thing is we must foster in them the love for English language. So when they see that the teachers enjoy, like their work, so they will work very hard to improve their English language. So we don't want to like scold them or to stop them from having this feel pleasure in writing poems. Okay. Uh,
Yeah, I think another question from Zulkifli Meru. Can we translate our own poem? For an example, I wrote the previous one in BM, then I translate to English.
if for translation, I think it's still okay because since you are the your own, you are the original writer. Yeah, if you are the original writer, yes, I think it should be okay for you to translate your own words because you are the original writer. Okay, it's not a problem.
Yeah. Viewers, is there any questions? Okay, I don't think so. Any more questions? Okay, Dr. Yi, thank you for your wonderful session today. I do enjoy that today. And viewers, thank you for joining the workshop. Okay, I'll see you all again in some other time. Thank you and goodbye.